You started in Texas.
Right.
You know, how old were you when you finally came to?
Oh, when we moved to Los Angeles,
right.
California, I was 5 years old.
What part of Texas?
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh, okay.
And my mother side of the family came from Dallas, Fort Worth, and my father's side, Palestine, Texas.
Ah, yeah.
Way countryside.
Oh, yeah.
And I started dancing at that age because my auntie, she owned like a small cafe, and they had a jukebox in there, and they used to put in the money, and I'd get up and just dance and it was fun. So I've been dancing for quite a while.
So when you first came out here, did you go to what elementary school did you go to?
Oh goodness, you're going way back.
Oh yes, I am.
Was it too? Wow. Western Avenue.
Western Avenue. Okay, it's long been closed up.
Right, yeah, that's how I think. No, I think it still exists.
Really?
It still exists because me and my husband passed there the other day. And there was another little shop, a little 5 and dime shop where they sold candy to the kids on that corner there.
Okay.
And they also had a jukebox.
What?
Right, and my best friend, we went in there as 2 kids. My mother would have killed me if she have known what I was doing, you know.
Right.
We went in there as kids, and it was, and we saw a little girl dancing, and my friend said, "Pat, you can dance better than that." And the people were throwing out, the older people were throwing out money to this little young girl dancing. She had on her tennis shoes, and I was shy. And my friend said, "The next time we come, I'm gonna hold your books." Her name was Katie. Katie held my books, and she said to the lady that owned Minnie's, the name was Minnie, "She can dance better than her." And the lady said, "Can you dance?" And I was too shy. "Yeah, a little bit." And so they put on the jukebox, and the people turned around, and I was just dancing, and they were just throwing dimes and nickels out and quarter. And Katie was like a manager. She was had my books, and she picking it up. And after we split up the money, and we came home, we had a bag full of candy, and I hid the rest of the change. I hid it in my socks, because if my mother knew that and my father, they would, "Girl, what you doing?" And if somebody from the church could have been there, I would have got it. But it was like, and I just told Daddy, remember, sweet, I told Daddy that a couple of days ago, and he said, "What?" That was so funny.
Then you went on to Crenshaw.
After that, yeah, I was at Webster.
Okay, yeah.
Webster Junior High.
Right.
I went, and then from there, Audubon, and then high school was Crenshaw High. I graduated from Crenshaw High.
Now, when did you hear about the auditions for Soul Train? Or when were you first aware of Soul Train?
There was a street party where they closed. We wasn't living here. We were living on 6th Avenue. And they closed off the streets, and they had a street party. And the lady by the name of Miss Alcott, she had me doing an Afro dance. And there was a lady that lived on, what was her name? Carl's mother, I can't remember her name. She happened to see this Afro dance that some of the other kids and I put on in the street. And she said, "Oh, that little girl, I know this a lady by the name of Pam Brown, and they having a TV show, and the name of it is Soul Train." And she wanted me to go on this show. And I said, "Well, you have to go and ask my mother and speak to my mother about it." And she spoke to my mother about it and gave Pam my parents' number. Pam called and said, "Listen, explain to my mother what was going on. We have this show, Soul Train, and we'd like your daughter to come down for the auditions."
Okay.
And I came down for the auditions, and that started.
But up until then, you had never heard of Soul Train?
No, up until then, no.
What year was that?
Oh, goodness. That was, wow. Whew.
Well,
way back somewhere in the 70s.
Yes, of course. So the train came on nationally in 71. And it came on in Chicago in like 69 or something.
Yeah, well then I was on the first taping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first taping, so I was way back then. Don't ask no age.
I'm not. Don't
ask no age.
You could barely
Everybody can figure it out anyway.
So what was your impression? I mean, how did you lose your shyness? You're in there with all these people, the cameras, the lights, and everything going on.
You know what? Till this day, in Vienna, I still have that.
Yeah.
At this moment, I have it. But when the mess hits the fan,
Right.
and I know I have to do it, I do it.
Okay.
So it's still there, and it just helps me. It pulls me, keeps me safe. This shyness keeps me safe.
How did you get from L.A. to Europe? Did you first, were you on tour? Did you go? Did Carl grab you out of a crowd and say,
No.
"Come with"? No.
Well, before I went to Europe, I traveled here a lot with the Whispers, Diana Ross,
Yeah.
Tom Jones, and so many people. And then a singer by the name of Cat Miller, gave me a call, and she asked me, they wanted a male dancer that could break dance and sing. They didn't want a female at the moment,
Right.
you know. So I thought of Eddie. You know, I could have chose Scooby, but Scooby was a dancer that didn't sing. Perry, well, he could sing, but maybe not break dance. I wasn't sure.
Right.
So we had a group, something special, and I knew that Eddie could break dance and sing as well. So I told this lady about Eddie. Well, at that time, I was going over to Europe before Eddie got there because I was doing choreography for entertainer by the name of Bilgery. Reinhold, I was doing his choreography for one of his songs in Europe. So when I got there, the management that was going to manage Eddie said, "Hey, why don't you guys come over? You come over with him because you sing and you dance too, and you guys come together."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." So me and Eddie ended up, you know, there as a dual act,
Right.
which is right here,
Right.
Essence.
On cue.
Dual act. That's it. Right there, Essence. So we had our, you know, some CDs out, and
Right.
so
Right.
that's it.
Okay.
And so there you go. That's
Yeah.
how we ended up over there.
Now let's brother Carl. Carl is Pat's husband, and I would like to know, how did you meet Pat? When did you first lay eyes on Pat?
I met her 1998 at the Amnesty International Ball in Vienna, Austria. And I was watching her on the dance floor. She was dancing with an older man. And I said to myself, it's a nice couple, a very nice couple. It was nice to watch at this dancing, you know. And after a sudden, this guy was away. And I took my chance, so-called, and I went over and I asked her if she would like to dance with me. And so it happened that I could, you know her a little bit closer. And actually, I knew her from a time before this
Like
event.
2 years before.
Several months or years, I don't know exactly. I saw her on the river Danube in Vienna, Austria. And I saw her and I watched her too.
Right.
And I was ready to speak with her, but after a sudden, she was not
Lost in the
away.
crowd because
She
there were
was
so
lost,
many people.
lost in the crowd, yeah. And so I could remember her.
Oh,
and
just-
so we started talking and
Just meant to be.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's funny, because he said,
It-
I saw you maybe about 2 years ago at the Danube, and I looked and I said, wow, this lady, and he was standing up on a bridge, and he tried to go down, and he said by the time he came down,
yes,
I was
yes,
away
yeah.
in the crowd. And then the second time he saw me was at the Amnesty International Ball. So that's where we met the first time, and we hooked up and been going strong ever since then.
Now, what
So
about the
it is-
rumor that you stepped on her?
Oh yes, yes.
This is another story. I think she knows it better.
So you want me to tell it?
And I would like to tell the story. It's so
we were at a
funny
ball.
sometimes.
He asked me to dance at this ball because he thought this other guy was my husband. But no, we was just dancing, and when the guy went away, he came and said, "Would you like to dance?" No. And I said, "Why would he ask me to dance and say no?" And they said, "Yeah, I guess he was nervous." And I said, "Yes." So we start dancing, and he started stepping on my feet. And oh, sorry. He was so polite. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. And then he started to make a funny sound. Can you make that
It looks
sound?
like
Again, make that sound again. And I thought he had false teeth. And I was like dancing. I was like, what is this guy doing? I didn't want to look at his face because I didn't want him to think, well, I'm flirting or something. But, you know, he's making, and I said, maybe his teeth are about to fall out because I kept hearing this sound and he's stepping on my feet. And then later, I told him after we, you know, started getting acquainted with each other, I said, it's funny because I thought you had false teeth making this sound, but he was nervous and, you know, and so that was a funny part, really funny part.
Very funny, very funny. I used it for the rhythm, you know.
Yeah, right.
I used it for the rhythm for my own self, you know. But it came out in a totally different message to her. He thought I had no teeth anymore.
I never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, I thought he was putting, you know, that make that sound, do it again. So he, and you think, I thought he was trying to push his teeth back up in his mouth, like,
keeping himself in rhythm.
right. Right. Right.
South African man too.
Right, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, coming from a white man, you know, it's like, wow, it's a rhythm.
He kept the rhythm going.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Fantastic,
It's really
man.
cute.
I'm glad we got that part of you in.
Yeah.
I came here, went out with her in some shops, and after a sudden, people ask, "Oh, you're Pat Davis from Soul Train," and so I realized with whom I am.
Well, she never talked to you about it before?
Because I thought he would know because they don't show it in Europe. So.
Oh, okay.
And just at when we took Daddy for his operation, remember what happened?
Mm-hmm.
This guy came and asked, and I'm sitting there looking like, ugh. And he, are you Pat Davis? I was like, oh Lord, where's my? I was start getting. Let me put on a little makeup or something.
That's interesting. You didn't know what you were into, man.
I did not know that. Then I, you know, took the internet and made the Google research.
Yeah.
Then I found out different songs and very nice and very, very, very good. And I thought all the time, this needs to have a revival. It's
Yeah, he
such a
always
good-
said that.
It's such a good music and really full of rhythm and spirit. Very, very good.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing now. Me and Reg sit down, talk to Lynn all the time about it because I was with Soul Train for such a long time. And around Don for such a long time. And we came up with different ideas, but Don's health started deteriorating. And he became a kind of a whole different person at that time. And I was into music, and I know Griffey and I worked with Don. And Dick and I have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, before he got into the business, we were friends. So Don didn't like maybe the friendship that I had with him.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to mention that, but right. Yes, right. They had, After a while, they were friends because we traveled with the Silvers and the Whispers and so many artists on a bus with Dick and Don. It was okay then. But then after something happened, and you know, we dare not ask what happened because you know Don would get you. You know, and Dick it was a private thing, so we just left that. But it was something happening between those two, and it was sad because it's good for black people to get together and have their own thing going. You know.
Yes. The thing about it would have been one of the most powerful entities in the business.
I think so.
Because all you had to do, and we were managing the groups, we were recording the groups, and they went directly from the studio into a TV show that was seen by millions of people. You don't get that publicity like that, you know. So they just got to the point where, it's in my book about their disputes and the things. It was rather petty.
Yeah. And Dick Griffey called me and asked me to be a part of Shalimar. And I couldn't because at the time I was signed up with we had a Jewish manager.
Right.
And we had that group Something Special.
Yeah.
So he didn't allow it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, and I didn't tell too many people about it because after there was Jody took that spot.
Yeah.
You know, so I said I didn't say anything about it.
Right.
Yeah, but I got that first offer from him and couldn't do it because I was signed up with that, you know. But
And that was history making.
yeah, it was a blessing.
I mean, Jody could dance, and nobody can
Jody is wonderful.
yes, you couldn't doubt that. But Pat was always rain coming in down. We fly everywhere and we write down who's the best dancer you think is on there. I write my list. He'll write
Really?
his. Oh look, who you got? You got? Oh, okay, I got.
Wow.
So at the end we'll tally it up. We probably maybe go to about 5 or 6 cities, promoting Soul Train. And when he go, let me see you got me. No man, you can't have the same
Oh,
one
that's
I
nice
have.
to hear it.
So we got Pat, Danita Joe.
Well, I know Demeter comes in first because she was like, hey.
No, not really. Because Danita was really kind of what we call a one-trick pony. That one thing she did was really good, what she did
Yeah.
with James Brown and that. But yours had a little more smoothness.
Thank you. But you know what? We all had our special qualities,
Yes.
and everybody. If you would ask me, who would I like and who would be the best? I couldn't pick anybody because everybody had their special qualities, you know. So and people would ask me that. Well, who was your favorite? I couldn't pick. I would say, well, you know, there's so many special qualities and so many special things that everybody had to offer.
Right.
So it was just like we all were.
Right, yeah, well, Sharon could dance. her
Yeah,
butt off.
right.
She was very good.
Yes. Freddie and
Freddie was good. They had,
Sharon and Tyrone, they had their routine. Wanda and Eddie, yeah, they had their little routines down.
Right. But some of them didn't stay as long to get that kind of a recognition. You know, when I came, they were kind of filtering out and coming in, filtering out.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I kind of missed maybe a whole year of Pat.
Yeah, we start traveling.
Yeah.
We start traveling
I know who
with.
you was with because I'm with them also.
Yeah, and with also, what's his name, Maverick's Flat as well. John too. We work with him too. John Daniels and you know what? A story that I didn't get to tell, and maybe I can tell it now. I kept it so hidden in my soul and I wanted to tell Don this before he passed. Somebody's well, it wasn't somebody's. It was Gary Key's mother, my dancer. When we were on the road, we had some troubles when we were on the road. You know, arguments between some of the dancers and myself.
Right.
And there was no chaperone there for us.
Right.
So Gary's mother, she called Don and said to Don, if I heard there was some troubles on the road, and if you don't get a chaperone there, then you're going to have troubles having those kids there on. And she hung up the phone. And all those years, Don thought it was my mother. And I never got a chance because I was so afraid. I never got a chance to tell him that. So after a while, I noticed the cameras wouldn't focus on me as much. But I never told him because I said, well, I just leave it as it is. And one day I'll be able to tell that story.
Yes.
But I wanted to tell it to him before he passed because I noticed the cameras, you know, that was like very quickly. And that was his mother. And Don told me one day when we had a meeting because I had some girl was, we had a little, I would say a fight. On Soul Train, and I didn't want to have it. And I was telling this girl, stop, leave me alone. But it was like a sister thing. I take it as a sister thing. So, like sisters and brothers fight.
Right.
And when we had that meeting, Don said, well, Pat, if your mother, if she keeps getting involved, then maybe we'll have to, take you off the show or do something about that because you're traveling with us, and I like you. And he didn't let me talk. I couldn't talk. Because I said if I would have busted out in tears. Because I wanted to say, and then I didn't want to tell on nobody else's mother, say that wasn't my mother, but that was his mother. So things kind of changed, but he still let me travel. But I noticed the cameras wasn't on me as much.
Yeah.
And I thought it was for that reason.
Yeah, it was for that reason. Because I sit down and I talk to, not so much to Don, but to Dick. Because Don had told Dick about it.
Yeah.
Because Dick was in charge of the tours. Don couldn't travel with the people. He figured that if it wasn't him, chaperone them, then they were in a little trouble. You know, so yeah, he did tell me that, but
And you're the first one that heard this story, because I was so hurt. I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Because I said, he was telling, and I was so shy, I almost wanted to bust out in tears,
Right.
and I couldn't talk,
Right.
and I was just, sitting there like somebody stupid,
Right.
instead of speaking up,
Right.
and I never told him that story.
yeah.
And I always wanted to tell him that story. And Lisa said when she saw, after that, I think he let it go, because he was always asking Lisa about me when she saw Don.
Yeah.
Where's Pat? And and blah,
Yeah,
blah. And I said, well, one day I'll get a chance to tell him that story, but I never got to it.
Yeah. No, he told me about that the parents are getting involved in this Chuck and
Yeah.
I, blah blah blah. So man, I got you here for this. But really, it was Dick and John Daniels who was taking everybody out on tour.
Right.
And there
yeah.
were parents, but they were young.
Right.
and they were going out and they weren't chaperoned, and these they running into they running into adults. Damn near every club they were going to. They weren't like little teenagers
Yeah,
into the club.
and this was the Soul Train gang that I was with at that time.
Exactly.
So it wasn't. I think if it was Dick or John, it wouldn't have happened like that. They would have
Right.
told it. But Don was like, he thought for sure it was my mother, and I was like, it was not. My mother would have never done anything like that.
Right.
She would have came and told him, or But his mother said that, and she just hung up, and I thought that was so wrong.
Right.
Right,
Exactly. Yeah. It went back, but hey. Dick had all the Soul Train very, very profitable. Because just on T-shirts alone, they could have made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Don ordered about 300 T-shirts, red, blue, white, and black.
I still have mine somewhere my original one. I still have it.
And they were passed out to the
Yeah.
dancers, and the outcry of wow, how come you guys don't sell these? And Dick was saying, well, we should sell them because we could burn the market over this. But Don thought that would be diluting the name itself. So he was. Don said, Chuck, I was so lucky to get this show. I'm not gonna let something like this. I said, Don, but it's a T-shirt, and no matter what happened, down on Crenshaw and La Brea, they were selling them for $5 a piece. So and jackets also. He let that part of it get away. So he and Dick had really kind of different ideas. Dick was always been a hustler.
You know what the thing I thought, and maybe it's not a nice thing to say, but sometimes nice things have to be said as well. I think Don had a little fear that somebody would grab something and come over him, and he wouldn't have liked that because he planted that seed. Instead of him branching out with that seed, he kept it right where he was.
Right. Right.
And it was some fear there that maybe if this happens, then somebody might come and do it better than or get higher than what I am getting. And there was some fear there.
Oh yeah.
But he left a seed for us to plant, and we can still plant it.
I called a friend of mine because I'm writing a book about Don and Dick and myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm their right-hand man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the book is a takeoff of Don's signature sign-off. Sign-off is love,
Peace and soul. Yeah.
And my book is called Sex, Drugs, and Hoes.
That was a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Unchain my heart.